Hi guys, I'm going to show you pretty quickly how to solve a system of equations by substitution. So you already went over this with Mr. Sham in class or with me in class, and now we're going to take some really detailed notes. So there's 3 steps to this. The first step is you have to make sure you have one variable isolated. The idea of substitution is you're replacing, right? If a substitute teacher comes in, the regular teacher is not there that day and somebody comes in their place. Same thing here. We have to have one variable who's going to be absent and something else is going to come in its place. So let's take a look here. In this case, we're going to isolate a variable, and I see here that the y is already by itself. So that is isolated. And I say, well, what is y equal to? It's equal to 8x. So my 8x can replace y. So this is going to go where the y is, okay? So the y is going to be absent, and 8x is going to go in its place. So the y is going to be absent and disappear, and the 8x is going to come and go in its place. So we write that like this. The 8x goes where the y was, and then we just keep bringing down the 2x minus 12. Okay, so the 8x replace this, and then I just brought down my equals 2x minus 12, and that's what I wrote here. Great, so now I just that's step 2, I go to step 3, which is solving. So in step 3, I'm just solving like a regular equation. I write don't call Valerie after midnight. I don't have distribute. I don't have like terms on the same side, but the x is on the 2 different sides. So that's not like terms, that's variables on both sides. So to cancel that out, I'm going to minus 2x, and whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. So I do have that step. 8x minus 2x is 6x. These are opposites, so they cancel out, and the sign of this is a negative 12. Now I look for addition or subtraction, which I don't have any addition or subtraction, but multiplication division I do have because there's a number in front of the x. So that's being multiplied by 6, I divide by 6. Whatever I do to one side, I do to the other. That cancels because they're opposites. X is equal to negative 2. But once you find x, there's another step you have to do. So you have to solve and plug in to find the other variable. Okay, so now we know what x is, we have to find what y is. So I'm going to choose the shorter equation. So I take y equals 8x, and I know that my x value, okay, is equal to negative 2. And so I'm going to plug that in where the x is. So I write y equals 8 parenthesis, and I'm plugging in whatever the x was equal to. So the x was equal to negative 2. That's what goes in there. And so y is equal to negative 16. So I write solution because I'm finding my solution. And x always goes first, and then y in a coordinate. So the x we found was negative 2. And the y I just found was negative 16. And that is my solution. But I want to check to make sure it's right. So pause it if you need to write anything down here. I can make it a little bit smaller. So you've got all of that, okay? Pause that, take good notes, and now we're going to go to the check. So for the check, I am going to be looking, okay, to just make sure that this x and y works in both equations. So notice I just wrote my original equation and my original equation. And I have what x is in pink and what y is in green. So my x is in pink, it's negative 2. I'm plugging in negative 2 everywhere I see an x. I can do that here too, okay? And my y is negative 16, so everywhere I see a y, I put in negative 16. And now I just type this straight in my calculator. So you put that in your calculator, and it gives you negative 16. And this checks out. Now I put this in my calculator, 8 parenthesis negative 2, and it gives me negative 16, and that is equal, and that checks. And that's how you know you have the right answer. We're going to do one more example, and then that's it. You're going to practice. Okay, example 2. Same idea. We isolate a variable. Okay. So we have to isolate a variable. Well, what variable is by itself? The y is not by itself because it has a 6. The x is by itself because there's no other number. So I isolated my x, so I can go ahead now. I know what x is equal to. It's equal to 6y. So where I see an x here, I'm going to replace that. Okay, so I would recommend that you circle or highlight the same way that I did. Okay, you can circle the x, put a box around that, and draw an arrow to show that you're replacing the x with 6y. So now we're going to do that. We write -2 parenthesis, because I'm replacing, okay, and the 6y goes plugged in here. That's the 6y. And then it has plus 7y next equals 15. Why am I doing this? Because if I have an equation that has two different variables, I can't solve it. Remember, like the literal equations, you can't get a single number. But here, if I have the same variable, linear equation, I can solve it. That's why I'm doing this. So step 2, I plugged into the equation, and now I'm going to solve. So I use my don't call Valerie after midnight every time. I look for distribute, and I have distribute. So I do have distribute. I multiply that, and I get -12y. Forgot to build my wall, and I bring everything else down. Awesome. I look for combined like terms. So these are on the same side, and they both have the y, so they are like terms. So this is why I have to use my DCVAM every time. I give them an underline, and I add that together, and when I add -12 in my calculator plus 7, I get -5y, and I bring down. Is the y on both sides? It is not. Do I have addition subtraction? I do not. But is there a number in front? There is. And so I have multiplication division. So I divide by that same number on both sides, and y is equal to -3. Okay, but remember that I need to solve and plug in to find the other variable. So what do I have so far? I have y. That means what do I need? I need x. I choose the shorter equation. So it's 6y equals x. Okay, and I know what y is, and so I'm going to plug in for that. So I put 6 parenthesis equals x, and I'm going to take what y is equal to. Okay, it's green, so y is equal to -3, and I'm going to put that where the y is. So I put -3 there, and then I just put that in my calculator, and I get -18 equals x. So my solution, you always have to write the word solution, parenthesis, the x goes first, and the y goes second, -3. Now we check to see that that's right. So if you need, okay, pause it, take some good notes on that, and then do this last check. So we're going to just check that it's correct. So my solution was -18, -3. Everywhere I see, the x, I'm going to put in -18. So I have an x right here, and I have an x right here in both equations. And then everywhere I see a y, I put in -3. So that's y, and this is y. And now I just type this straight in my calculator, and that's going to give me 15. And that is 15. It checks out. Put this in my calculator, and that gives me -18. And I bring this down, and it checks out. And that's how you know you have the right answers. That's all you have to do for this, and then there's going to be one more video to show you how to do the graphing. Have fun!